Welcome everyone to our lecture on probability and probability distributions. Today we are diving into a truly magical concept called the inversion theorem. Imagine having a tool so powerful that it can take a completely transformed, abstract piece of data and perfectly reconstruct the original reality it came from. That is exactly what we will be exploring today. We will build this from the ground up, so even if you are completely new to this, you will understand exactly how and why it works. To start, let us imagine you have a complex, perfectly blended fruit smoothie. Once those fruits are blended, they lose their original shape, making it seem impossible to separate the strawberries from the bananas. In probability, a characteristic function is exactly like that blended smoothie. It is a mathematical fingerprint that uniquely represents a probability distribution, but it exists in a transformed, abstract mathematical space. The inversion theorem is the magical machine that unblends the smoothie. It acts as the ultimate forensic tool, taking that mathematical fingerprint and perfectly reconstructing the original probability distribution, allowing us to safely return to real-world probabilities. Now that we understand what the inversion theorem does conceptually, let us look at its mathematical form for continuous random variables. This formula comes directly from the concept of an inverse Fourier transform. On the left, f of x is the probability density function we are trying to recover. Inside the integral, phi of t is our known characteristic function, our mathematical fingerprint. The term e to the power of negative itx is a complex exponential that acts as a mathematical filter, isolating the specific probability at the point x. Finally, the factor of 1 over 2 pi is a necessary scaling constant that ensures the total area under our recovered probability curve equals exactly 1. If the frequency variable t changes, the filter adjusts to capture different components of the distribution. Let us visualize this formula in action. What you're seeing here is the two-way street created by the inversion theorem. On the left, we have the physical domain, represented by the smooth bell curve of the probability density function. On the right, we have the frequency domain, represented by the oscillating wave of the characteristic function. The top arrow shows how we move to the abstract space using the expected value, which is a Fourier transform. But more importantly, the bottom arrow shows the inversion theorem bringing us back. It proves that absolutely no information is lost when moving between these domains. The abstract wave contains everything needed to perfectly redraw the physical curve. Before we can blindly apply the continuous inversion formula we just saw, we must address a crucial safety check. The direct continuous formula only works if the characteristic function satisfies a strict mathematical requirement called absolute integrability. Why does this matter? Because in mathematics, we need guarantees. If a characteristic function is absolutely integrable, the inversion theorem guarantees that the resulting probability density function will be perfectly continuous and bounded. This means the curve will be smooth, with no sudden sharp jumps or breaks. It is a mandatory checkpoint to ensure our mathematical machine does not break down when trying to unblend the smoothie. So, what exactly does absolute integrability look like mathematically? Here is the condition. It states that if you take the absolute value of the characteristic function, phi of t, and calculate the total area under its curve from negative infinity to positive infinity, the result must be strictly less than infinity. In plain English, the area must be a finite number. If the wave of the characteristic function does not die down fast enough as t gets larger, the area will grow forever and diverge. When that happens, this condition fails, and we cannot use the standard continuous inversion formula to get a smooth curve. To truly understand why this condition is mandatory, let us look at a counter-example where it fails. Consider the uniform distribution on the interval from -1 to +1. This distribution looks like a flat rectangular box. It has a constant probability inside the interval and instantly drops to 0 outside. Because of these sudden, sharp drops, the probability density function is not continuous. Its characteristic function turns out to be sine of t divided by t. If you try to find the total area under the absolute value of this function, the area actually grows forever. It diverges to infinity. Because it is not absolutely integrable, the direct continuous inversion formula struggles at the exact points where the box drops to 0. Now that we know the rules, let us put the continuous inversion theorem into practice with a real calculation. Suppose you are handed a characteristic function phi of t equals e to the power of negative absolute value of t. You are asked to find the original probability density function that produced this fingerprint. First, we check our condition. We know this function is absolutely integrable because the area under it is finite. Therefore, we can safely use the continuous inversion integral. We start by plugging our given characteristic function directly into the standard inversion formula, setting up our integral from negative infinity to positive infinity. Continuing with our calculation, we face a small hurdle. Because the function contains an absolute value of t, it behaves differently for positive and negative numbers. To handle this, we must split our single integral into two separate pieces. One from negative infinity to 0, where the absolute value of t becomes negative t, and another from 0 to positive infinity, where it remains t. This allows us to drop the absolute value signs entirely. Next, we combine the exponents in each integral. In the first integral, we factor out t, and in the second, we factor out negative t. We now have standard exponential integrals ready to be evaluated. Let us finish the reconstruction. We evaluate the exponential integrals by dividing by the constant multiplier in the exponent and applying our limits. This leaves us with two complex fractions. To combine them, we need a common denominator. We multiply the numerators and denominators across. When we do this, a beautiful thing happens. The imaginary terms containing I cancel out perfectly. This is exactly what we expect because a real probability density function cannot contain imaginary numbers. Our final answer is 1 over pi times 1 plus x squared. The inversion theorem successfully took an abstract exponential fingerprint and reconstructed the exact bell-like curve of the standard Cauchy distribution. We have successfully inverted a continuous distribution. But what if our data is not continuous? Often we deal with lattice random variables. A lattice random variable is one that only takes values on an evenly spaced grid, such as whole numbers. Think of the number of cars passing a toll booth. For these discrete variables, we do not have a smooth probability density function. Instead, we have a probability mass function, which is a list of exact probabilities for separate outcomes. The continuous integral formula from earlier would fail here because the probabilities are concentrated at specific points rather than spread out. We need a new tool. To handle these jumping, discrete values, the inversion theorem has a special modified version. Here is the discrete inversion formula. On the left, the probability that x equals k is the exact probability mass we want to extract for a specific integer outcome. Notice that the limits of integration have changed from infinity to just negative pi to positive pi. Why? Because the characteristic function of an integer-valued random variable is periodic. It repeats itself every 2 pi units, just like a circle. By integrating over just one full period, we gather all the necessary information. The complex exponential again acts as a filter, specifically tuning into the integer k to extract its exact probability mass. Let us try a discrete example to see how this lattice version works in practice. Suppose you are given the characteristic function phi of t equals cosine of t. You are told this belongs to a discrete random variable that only takes integer values. Your task is to find the exact probability mass function. We start by plugging our given characteristic function into the discrete inversion formula. To make the integration easier when multiplied by a complex exponential, we will use Euler's formula. Euler's formula allows us to rewrite cosine of t as a sum of two complex exponentials. This substitution is the key to unlocking the problem. Continuing our discrete reconstruction, we substitute the exponential equivalent of cosine into our integral. Now, we distribute the e to the negative itk term into the parentheses. We also pull the denominator of 2 outside the integral, which changes our leading fraction to 1 over 4 pi. When we multiply the exponentials, we simply add their powers. This leaves us with two separate exponential terms inside the integral. We have successfully turned a difficult trigonometric integral into two very simple exponential integrals, setting the stage for a crucial mathematical trick. Here is the crucial mathematical trick to finish the problem. The integral of a complex exponential over a full period from negative pi to pi is exactly 0, unless the exponent itself is 0. If the exponent is 0, the term becomes e to the 0, which is 1, and the integral of 1 over this range is 2 pi. Therefore, looking at our powers, the first term only survives if k equals 1. The second term only survives if k equals negative 1. For any other integer, the result is 0. Our final answer shows a 50% chance of being 1 and a 50% chance of being negative 1. The discrete inversion theorem flawlessly extracted the exact probabilities of a simple coin flip from a cosine wave. Now that we have seen the theorem in action, we must understand its broader impact. The inversion theorem proves that every characteristic function is tied to exactly one probability distribution. This property is known as uniqueness. This uniqueness is the absolute foundation for another massive concept in statistics called Levy's continuity theorem. Levy's theorem states that if you have a sequence of characteristic functions that slowly morph and converge into a final target, their corresponding probability distributions must also converge to the target distribution. This is incredibly powerful. Without the inversion theorem guaranteeing that the mapping is unique, Levy's continuity theorem would completely fall apart, and we would lose our best method for proving the central limit theorem. Let us summarize what we have learned today. The inversion theorem is the essential bridge that connects abstract characteristic functions back to tangible probability distributions. Whether you are dealing with smooth, continuous curves or jumping discrete values, it provides a rigorous mathematical pathway to recover lost information. We saw that absolute integrability is a mandatory safety check for continuous data, and we saw how the discrete formula perfectly extracts point probabilities. By ensuring that every fingerprint matches exactly one distribution, this theorem secures the foundation for the most advanced proofs in statistical science. You now understand the mechanics of one of probability's most powerful tools.